It's a very, very lovely morning, Saturday, the 15th of April 2023, and we are back on your screens to discuss nothing but the best of local football as well as international football. My name is Rabson Kombe. I'm going to be your host this morning in the absence of one Amore who is on sabbatical leave this weekend and probably he was just waiting for me to come back. I've been absent for a bit, but it's good to be back on your screens, and a very, very lovely morning today. And I'm not alone in the studio this morning. I am accompanied by the old timer, my friend who always argues about the two teams that we support. And Augustine, a very, very lovely morning to you, and welcome to the show this morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Scombe. It's always a pleasure to be here. We turn all the glory and honor to the Most High God. A big good morning to our viewers out there, and we hope to give you nothing but the best.
We are accompanied by another one.
It will be amazing to see the two Kite Giants representing Zambia.
Augustine's contribution all the time has to touch a big team on the copper belt. We will not say much about it. It's part of our program this morning, and we have a special guest again this morning who's joining us by the name of Majuda. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Rapson. It's nice being invited on Camnet TV to come and share in terms of sports. So it's I'm a privilege and honor to be here.
That's lovely. Augustine, first things first. Our Copper Queens made a short trip, which turned out to be a very long one. Out of 180 minutes, they conceded a good number of 10 goals and only managed to score 2 past South Koreans.
I think if you play the same team in a space of 1 week, the first game, if it's poor, you expect a difference in the second game. At least it has to be a bit better. But we became worse from the first game. I think if you look at the first game, we went toe-to-toe in the first half. We were very, very brave. We took on Korea. We actually went leading by 2-1 at halftime. So there was a difference in the first game. There was that vibe. We had some good attacks. We defended better as a team. Then in the second half, we collapsed. Then the South Koreans showed their class. And in the second game, you expected a little bit different in the way how we approach the game with regards with personnel and the shape of the team. And you could see in the first game, Mr. Scombe, that our rigid 4-4-2 formation cannot sustain when we're playing teams that are very, very good in possession, because they leave our two midfielders very, very open. We went into the game against Korea, the second game. Bruce Mwape decided to bring in Wilombe and drop the two midfielders in Evelyn Katongo and Irene Lungu to try and bring some grit in midfield. But I think what I saw in the game against Korea, again, we were very, very open in our central areas, because we played more basically four attacking players in Rachel Nachula, Rachel Kundananji, Ochumba Oseke started, and Barbara Banda and Grace Chanda. So you could see we had a lot of attacking players who will not do the job in terms of defending. There's a big difference in defending, being in defensive shape, and winning back the ball. They're just players that are gifted to winning back the ball, and they're players that they will be in the shape, but they cannot win back the ball. And that's what we saw in the game against Korea. We had players who can come drop into a shape, but cannot win back the ball. But it's a shame that our coach cannot read the game and change the tactics. We played a very, very high line in the second game, which left us a little bit open for balls in behind. Yeah, and the back line, they couldn't hold a straight line together. That was a very, very big problem that I saw in the game against Korea. We are still a long, long way away from being a force in missing in this you could see probably her leadership and command at the back was missing, because Agnes Musesa is not the kind who will be vocal like Lushomo. Lushomo will be vocal, Berem will be vocal, and we had probably experienced Martha and Agnes playing on the one side of defense, and then we had inexperience playing on the other side of defense, and you could see that's where probably 3 or 4 goals came from. So I think we'll need to rectify that going into the big international friendlies that we have before the World Cup.
Majuda, let's look at the ladies. We had a couple of calls, and we saw in the middle of the week where Football Association of Zambia had to come in and rescue the situation of the technical bench by saying they will probably need to add to beef it up as we approach the World Cup. Is that the right thing to do when you look at where we are coming from with the coach?
Yeah, with me, I think that's the right call. I support with that because I saw it yesterday or the day before yesterday. They're saying they're going to get their technical experts to beef up with the team. Hope they're not going to bring a video analyst to come and beef up the team. So we'll need to do a lot of work before the World Cup. Because rolling backwards from the gate, the friendlies we have played, I think there are about 5. These are one and the same mistakes we are making in the team. So the major problem that we have in our team, the Shipolopolo, is the midfield. The midfielders, they're not doing their best. We don't have holding midfielders. If we go to the World Cup, my suggestion, my opinion, it's better we play with 2 holding midfielders. Because looking at the way Japan plays, Spain plays, and Costa Rica, I think we will need to go with 2 holding midfielders so that at least they can be assisting the defense. Because if it will be just like that, the way you put Irene Lungu and Evelyn Katongo, I think it will be showers of blessings for these other countries. They will push us.
Very quickly, 7th of July, we have a very, very high-profile international friendly. The Germans will be hosting the Copper Queens on the 7th of July. It will
be another big lesson for us. I think Germans are probably one of the powerhouses in terms of women football. If you look at even at club level, you find Werder Bremen, Wolfsburg, they do very well in the Champions League. These are teams that have dominated in Europe and they have got that quality in their arsenal. And it will give us a bigger picture now with where we are with regards with us going into the tournament. I think kudos must go to the Football Association of Zambia, the friendlies that they have organized. Remember, we played Colombia at some point. It's a few of probably Costa Rica. They are close to Costa Rica, Colombia. We played Korea, who are close to Japan. And now we're playing Germany, who are close to Spain. These are the teams that we have in our group. So we have that idea.
Administratively, well done.
Administratively, without a doubt, I think they have done their best. They've organized high-profile friendlies with players and teams that are close to teams that will be playing. They played probably a similar kind of football. But the most worrying fact that we have as a country, Bruce Mape with his technical staff, what they need to rectify is that we've conceded in all the friendlies. Yes. I think that's very, very worrying. We cannot keep our back door closed, which is not very, very good going into a tournament of such high profile. We need to try and rectify that. We need to try and be a little bit solid, probably change our tactics and our shape.
Get comfort from Zambia versus Lesotho. We won that game back to back in a space of 72 hours. So for South Korea, probably it's a good lesson for Beston Zambia. I mean for Bruce Mwape and his his technical bench, and we only hope that the lessons that have been learned in that particular friendly will be made to make the team stronger and stronger, even as we prepare to face the Germans in that international friendly that is slated for the 7th of July 2023. For now, we'll take a very, very quick commercial break and we'll get back on the other side with local football.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back, and now we had some breaking news during the course of the week where we saw the bankers ultimately kicking out a football consultant, Emmanuel Amunike, who has probably overstayed on the throne, if you ask me, because they went 9 games without picking up a proper victory that you can talk about. And we've seen Kaindo and Emmanuel Amunike being shown the back door for the bankers, and we only hope that the ATM machines in Ndola this afternoon will pull the triggers against a very, very exciting Zesco United Football Club. Let's look at Wada, the appointment of Wada to take Zanaco probably out of that bad zone they are sitting in. When you look at his history with the club, he was last there, I think, a couple of years ago, probably 10 or 11 years ago, and he's back at the club. Are you seeing anything new with his coming back? Is he going to turn around things? Remember, they are 4 points away from the chop zone.
So if you look at Zanaco, this breaking news, I think it came through on Monday in the afternoon, but something was cooking up before that, probably on a Friday. News was coming through that there will be some changes at Zanaco with regards to that technical bench. They went on to appoint Edson Nyirenda to try and rectify the bad start they've had to the season, especially in the second half. They last won a game in January. I think we were together against Chambishi, that game at National Hero Stadium. Zanaco have really, really struggled for goals. They've scored 23 goals the entire season. The second lowest in the league, because the lowest team, it's Buildicon, who have scored lesser goals than that. They've conceded 25. They're not bad. They're not that bad in terms of defensive wise, but it's going forward. And we talked about it, Corruption, a couple of weeks ago when we said about they are over-reliant on Abrams Yankombo, Zanaco. That's the biggest problem. And your favorite player, Chite Mweshi, is just basically a one-dimension footballer, which is very, very difficult for a team to play around him. He's just one dimension. The only thing Chite Mweshi can bring to the game is just further play and run around. Yes, he works very, very hard. And what we got from Zanaco this week...
He doesn't work smart, he works hard.
Exactly. What we got from Zanaco this week is that... they have been worked very, very hard, the players. I think we see change in performances that will probably translate to change in results. It's going to be very, very difficult for Wada. The games that he has to try and save Zanaco, I think they are very, very difficult. He's starting with a tricky game against old nemesis in Zesco United. Zanaco and Zesco United have always been feisty encounters. In the last 4 or 5 years, these games were there to decide titles, not to see if Zanaco will stay up. So this is how far Zanaco have fallen. I think
and this time around, there are no boardroom decisions.
Exactly. So if you look at basically what is killing Zambian football, probably is the administrators, the people that are at the helm that are calling the shots. They brought in Emmanuel Amunike. They didn't clearly state what he was here to do. He was here as a consultant, but what we saw.
He was head coach.
He was the head coach. He was the one who was in charge of training sessions. He was the one who was in charge of games.
Everything.
Kind was basically the assistant on that bench. And they just left the tag of him as head coach. The head coach was Emmanuel Amunike, and you could see he tried to change their style of play. Zanaco have always been a side that will attack through the wings, putting crosses into the box. But he wanted them to play a little bit of football, but they didn't have the quality and personnel to do that, and it has brought him this far now.
Majuda, one thing that I understand about football is Wada has been given a responsibility of managing the last few games. The players and the reaction of the entire the entire team is barely at the helm of either keeping Wada for the job or Wada will mess his own career up, because in the last 6-7 games that he's been given, will the players get that confidence and the courage to play for Wada, or they will probably want to side with the previous regime that has been kicked out? Because I have been in football, I understand these things from a different perspective, where you see players sitting back to say, okay, I was brought to this club by this coach has gone. Mm-hmm. What is the expectation from this coach who has come? Is he going to keep me? Is he going to let go of me? So it's very, very psychological, and the time is not with the coach in order to get a buy-in from the players. What is your take about how the players should respond when it comes to playing for Wada in the last few games to survive relegation?
What you have to bear in mind is Wada is a seasoned coach and very experienced with high-profile coaching license, and he has coached in many countries, South Africa, Mozambique, just to mention a few. So that thing will motivate the players to play for Wada. It won't matter, say, no, I was brought by Amonike, I was brought by KK. Wada Wada, as I know him, is somebody who is very tough and very tactical. He will sack the players to work for him so that Zanaco is saved from relegation. And that will be the only thing that Wada Wada will do.
Before we get into the details of the Super League, let's quickly look at the National Division 1 fixtures that are taking place this afternoon, Augustine, before we go and concentrate on the fixture, especially the most exciting game that you have alluded to, where instead of it being a decider of the league championship, it's now a decider of whether... Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yes, please, you are through to off the pitch. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Come again?
I'm calling from Camnet.
Oh, Katete.
How is Kumawa?
Yes, want to contribute to the program.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Yes, my first contribution is to the national team for the red team. I'm proposing that this coming friendly, let us have a full squad, so that we avoid giving excuses of Berem was not there, Vitala or Mwimba was not there. Let's have a full squad. That's that when we are beaten, we all convinced to say, I think the team was full, we played to our strength, but we've lost. And then that's where going forward now we can be able to say this is the best team that we are going into with the World Cup. Because currently, where we have this gap, Azeonan is not there, and then we are looking at those goals, the five. I think it's beyond. Coming to the local team, my comment is the shame on Ghana, shame on the shame on Zesco, shame on Zanaco. They are nowhere near the finals of the Africa Cup. And that contributed area on. I'm worried with all Dynamo going into the cup game. Imagine the way they were beaten by Forest Rangers. Now it meets the rest of Sundown. It means it will be 10-0. Thank you, that is my contribution.
Thank you very, very much. Just a quick reminder to our dear viewers that the Copa Queens have 3 friendlies that have been confirmed, starting with the Ireland versus Zambia game that will be taking place on the 22nd of June. Switzerland will be hosting Zambia again on the 30th of June, and finally, but not the least, the Germans on the 7th of July. Back to our local National Division 1 fixtures, Augustine, this afternoon. We have Atletico Lusaka hosting Kafiwe Celtic at Toyota Arena Stadium. Atletico Lusaka.
Atletico, I think they've picked some vital points in recent weeks in their stage to try and stay up. They went in Copper Belt, faced the Jumulo side, which keeps blowing hot and cold this season, and they went there and got a 3-1 victory, which has put them in a very, very good position to try and escape the relegation zone. And these boys, they do stand a chance in this afternoon to try and push themselves a little bit further up the table and survive relegation. I do believe Atletico Lusaka have got what it takes to win this encounter against Kafiwe Celtic.
Very quickly, we have Indeni versus Bata at Indeni Sports Complex in Ndola. We have Kafiwe Eagles hosting Maite Wine Chungolo. This game we have to stop and let me get your views, gentlemen, about Mufulira Wanderers' pursuit to come back to the Zambian Super League.
Mufulira Wanderers is second on the log, and they will do their best to beat. Is it Indeni?
They are playing Kafiwe
Eagles.
Kafiwe Eagles, yes.
At the famous Kosa Stadium.
Yes. So you know what? With Mufulira Wanderers, with their history, I see them qualifying, and most of the 6 remaining games, I think they will pick vital points out of those 6 games, starting from today. Because it's looking at the log standing the way it is, you see Konkola Blades also is on the rise. It's coming. Young Green Buffaloes also it's also coming. So it will be a tight. So no team will need to lose points. The top 4, especially these top 4 teams, they will need to get maximum point at this stage where we are. The one which is comfortable, I can say, is Trident. But Mufulira Wanderers, Tondo Stars, Konkola Blades and Young Buffaloes can even City of Lusaka can also can get it to top 4.
I think if you look at Kosa Stadium, you remember the league leaders Trident went there and got beat by this same team. My team Mufulira Wanderers have not been the best travelers in this league. basically they will go there and get a draw. They've got a lot of good players. Patson Kwaitana, he was part of the national team. They've got Wembiaga Kongu, the fans' favorites in the Absa Cup, and Clive Boyeta, he's been getting them the goals. You hope he will do, his goals will be good enough to see them over the line. My team, Flair Wanderers, they have to bounce back to the Super League. They had a minor setback when they were docked those 3 points when they played City of Lusaka. But
5 substitutions.
6 substitutions. So you hope my team, Flair Wanderers, their home form is going to get them up this season. They have been very, very good at home, and they've got the likes of Martin Kaonga, former Red Arrows.
We are seeing the league leaders visiting Aguila Stars, and this game, apparently, instead of it being at the UNAS grounds, I'm told it will be at Sunset Stadium this afternoon. Aguila Stars versus Trident.
Yeah, big one. If you look at Aguila, Makundika Sakala has got them to try and get into safe land. Their talisman in the second half of the season hasn't been doing well in Kekesipuka. But if you look at, they've got young, exciting players like Matthews Mwale. He's very, very enterprising. He's attack-minded. He can pick the ball between the defensive midfielder and the defenders.
They have a very good left back, Pokatai.
Very good. I think he's one of the best in the league, actually, Paul.
I've seen him get man of the match awards
almost every week.
Every
if you look at games, at least is the most one of the leading in the terms of getting man of my watch award. Even
going forward, what he gives them in that left side of attack, he gives them something different. Defensively, you back him to try and defend in 1v1 situation. I think Paul is one to look out for the future. He's a very, very brilliant footballer, and they've got young Thomas. I think I've forgotten his name. His difficult name. He's a very, very young, good young midfielder. He was once at Atletico of Lusaka. He's one to look out for again. I think Trident, they will be too strong for Aguila being played at Sunset Stadium.
Well, when you say they will be too strong, we are yet to see that, because Aguila Stars are also enjoying the presence of Zambia 2 at under 23 level. That's Mkoka Chilufya, who is the Aguila Stars first choice goalkeeper at the moment. Yeah. And to face the league leaders, it will be a very, very interesting encounter this afternoon at Sunset Stadium. And if you can find your way, please go and watch the upcoming Super League team in Trident Football Club. They have a long trip into Lusaka, and we are hoping that they can maintain that momentum and just get back to the Zambian Super League and meet their fellow giants in those leagues. This afternoon, we have another fixture that is available in the Eden Division 1, and we will look at this particular encounter that Mufria Wanderers, remember these two teams, Mufria Wanderers and Trident are very tight on top, and they have all made the trip into Lusaka. One will be in Kafue, one will be in Lusaka. Do you see them picking maximum points as they get into these fixtures? Just a quick overview of these two teams, because these are the title chasing teams that we have in the Division 1.
No, looking at the log standing the way it is, yes, they are tightly chasing each other. So what is it? I see them picking a maximum point. Reason being is there are still other teams that are fighting behind, trying to catch up with them.
The gap is very minimal.
The gap is very minimal. So yes, so they will try by all means to get maximum points. The less they will get is stalemate.
Augustine, very quickly, just the results. What is your expectation between these two traveling teams?
I think Aguila, for them to have moved the game to Sunset Stadium, it advantage Trident.
Okay.
Trident will win by 2-1, and in the game against Mighty Flair Wanderers, I see a draw.
Last but not the least, this afternoon in Division 1, we have Zesco Malaiti Rangers hosting Livingston Pirates at Lusaka's Independence Stadium.
Pirates started the season very well. Then
they were just reminded that they are back in the league.
Yeah, they were just reminded. 5 days, 4 days? In fact, they joined the league after the first 2 games were played. Yeah, so they had to start playing catch up, and they started on fire. They came and beat Lusaka Dynamos. They won about 10 points in the first 4 games, but it hasn't been very well in the second half for them. They've struggled, and I see Zesco Malaiti, who have got one of the meanest defense in the league, will win this one.
Tomorrow, Sunday, the 16th of April 2023, we have Jumulo hosting City of Lusaka Football Club. We have Mpulungu Haba versus Lusaka Dynamos at Mzabwera Grounds in Mpulungu.
3 points.
Konkola Blades versus Mtondo Stars at Konkola's in Chidilabombo at Konkola Stadium. Very interesting encounter it will be.
Big game. If you see what they've done at Mutondo Stars, Zed Silate, he has got one super left football in Titus chance. I think people should take a good look at him. Set piece is probably the best in the league. He has scored from direct free kicks, I think about 5 times this season. He's their leading scorer. They've got young, enterprising winger in Osmond Cheetah. Very, very good and direct winger, and probably one of the best goalkeepers in the league. This league has got very, very good goalkeepers. In Gwezambewe, who is manning the goal from Tondo, they play some good football. They are very, very solid defensively. And going away to Chidilabombo, I feel Konkola Blades will try and stop them, because both teams are chasing for promotion. It will end in a draw.
We'll take a very, very quick break, and when we come back, we'll come and look at the Zambian Super League games that will be taking place this afternoon. Very, very exciting games that will be taking place this afternoon. And on the other side of this commercial break, we'll come and give you the details and the fixtures that will be taking place this afternoon. We'll see you on the other side.
Ingatamwishiwe pekani tuliposhe bana fia sasa ushe umwana nanyina inganaba kutuluka uwingewe munankwateka sambe nani mwe ipisha ina sheni abo mwikere nabo.
Welcome back to the last segment of our show this morning, when we are now going to start looking at the very, very exciting games as the Zambian Super League gets to its final stretch, where you sleep, you snooze, you are out, and very exciting encounters. We begin by looking at the ABSA finalists. FC Muza are making a very, very big host to Numba members Cabo Warriors this afternoon in Mazabuka.
Yeah, I think Muza, you remember when the Beach Red Arrows 2 goals to nil in the ABSA Cup quarter-final, they had gone 3-4 games without winning in the Super League.
They were still celebrating. Are we going to see the same with this run when they now take on a stubborn Cabo Warriors under Numba? They've been at least a little bit decent than they were in the first half under Chicken George Rwandamina. He's made them a little bit solid. They look compact. They're taking advantages of set plays, and coming up against an energetic Muza, I think we expect fireworks in this game, and Muza probably might win it by 2-1. It's very, very difficult to beat FC Muza currently. Majuda, 2-1 was the scoreline in the reverse fixture, where Muza managed to win.
They came from behind.
Yeah.
I see it to be a very, very difficult match for Muza at home. Looking at the log standing. Cabo Warriors is not safe where they are, so it will be very tricky for Muza. If Muza were to get it, I think it would be just by a goal to nil. It will be very, very tricky for Muza to pick up a maximum point, even though they are playing at home, although they are very difficult and stubborn to beat at home. But Cabo Warriors, what will happen with Numba Mumamba, I think you make sure that he gets 3 points in Mazabuka. And it's very tricky if you just check the way it is. It's favoring Power Dynamos, because most of these teams that are playing today, you'd find Buffaloes is playing with Napsa Stars. Forest Rangers is playing with Nkwazi, and Nkwazi, they are fighting for relegation. You talk of which one? Power Diamond is playing tomorrow against Chambeshi, so it gives Power the advantage. Since they are playing tomorrow, they will have to watch these other teams play. So they will have the idea on how to go about the game. If they mess up, then it will be up to them.
Very, very exciting encounter this afternoon in Choma. Very, very exciting encounter. We are seeing the return of one coach. Agret Yangi. It's Green Eagles.
Is it master against student?
Mchanga Rangers.
I think it's an interesting encounter. Namazawa worked hand in hand. He was the right hand man for Agret Yangi. Yes. He's took over this Green Eagle side, and it hasn't been perfect ever since he took over. They're trying to change their brand of football. Green Eagles, you can see they've got that Burundi international in Aaron in that little pockets just behind the strikers. he's been doing very, very good. They've changed the formation, the system. They've changed the players' positions. Like Amit Shamende is now being played as a number 10, and you can see that he's growing in that position. And they've brought in Lewis Marcher halfway through the season to try and rectify the problems that they've had with regards with goals. What Agbe Chiange had built at Green Eagles was a team that worked together, very, very solid, very, very hard to break down. They didn't have the guy who scored 10, 15 goals in a season. They'll spread the goals around the team. Osea Sirimba was one of his instrumental players. It got the best out of the team with the way they played. The personnel, Warren Kunda was very solid. He qualified them to back-to-back continental football, which is not an easy achievement. If you look at Green Eagles, they're coming up against Njanga Rangers. Ever since Aglishiange took over, I think Njanga haven't been very, very convincing. They haven't been playing the football that we saw them play the first round. They lost their talisman in Christian Saile, who moved on to Kaizer Chiefs. They now have got Pedro Miguel. He's not getting them the goals. Angel Luamba, one of your favorite players.
Yes.
I think he's a very, very brilliant player. If they can just get the best out of them, they will be safe to survive. If you look at the running, it's very, very difficult for teams now. Each point counts because the relegation door is slowly but surely closing.
Let's look at the biggest team on the Zambian soil that has been in very, very good and exciting form, having lost their last game in January against Sensational Zanaco Football Club, and the path to where they are now. They have played 8 games without losing any of the games. Played 8. And you know that team, Augustine. It's a very, very... I know you have difficulties in pronouncing the team, but Mwana Radiance is hosting that team this afternoon.
You mean the power Dynamos or...
I've given you the statistics. So if you follow football, please look at a team which is the best performing team in the last 2 months.
Okay, and it is sitting on number 7.
Yes, no, we're talking about the last 10 months.
But okay, truth be told,
it's Lumana Radiance versus Ghana Football Club, ladies and gentlemen.
And this has always been an exciting encounter. Lumana Radiance have got one over Ghana in recent years.
The reverse fixture, Lumana Radiance was beaten by 2 goals to 1.
Yes, but the previous time when Lumana were
in the
Super
about
League,
the reverse fixture.
So okay, let's start.
They should be visiting. He was the former coach for Lumana Radiance.
If I have to be honest, probably Quick Silver would have won the back-to-back manager of the month if we had this award in Zambia, because he's transformed. Hello, the athlete off the pitch.
Okay.
Your name and where you're calling us from?
Okay.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, probably the caller is not very clear whether they are through or not. We'll continue on that front, Augustine.
If you look at
we are discussing Ghana Football Club.
Based on Jambishi,
the best performing team in the last 2 months. He
could have won the back-to-back manager of the month with what he's done at Ghana Football Club, with Ghana Football Club.
Oh, okay.
And probably one of those awards for player of the month would have gone to David Kawala. He's been exceptional ever since he moved to Ghana Football Club. I think I like the new look Ghana Football Club, the way they're playing. You can see those combinations, those partnerships are working very well. Even Nyondo looks decent now at right back. I think you could see with the faith that Based on Chambeshi has with these players, even Mangani Banda now can perform very, very well. He has had those mistakes from Ghana, but he's kept them in games like Red Arrows and Koroma Stadium. He kept them in that game. So you could see that there are certain things that are now working in favor of Ghana. The partnership of Makombozi and Stefan Chulu. Stefan Chulu looks a very, very different player in the centre back role. He's very, very calm. He reads the game very, very well. And Amon Chulu, another young player, we talked about this boy. He's going places, and I believe he's being linked with a move to Europe. We wait to watch the space, but Ghana have really transformed in the second half of the season, and I see them being too strong for Lumana Radiance, who have been struggling 2 goals in Ghana.
Augustine, for the first time, I'm very happy and super proud of you for giving that analysis. Majuda, any comment on the game, Lumwana Indians vs Nkana Football Club, before we go to one of the most exciting games of the weekend?
I'll give it to Nkana. It's a walkover for Nkana.
Let's shift our focus to Heroes Stadium this afternoon. The battle of the technical benches.
Peri
Mutapa versus Masauso Tembo this afternoon. It's NAPSA Stars hosting Green Buffaloes Football Club at the Heroes Stadium.
Wow, I think yesterday I was privileged to attend NAPSA Stars press briefing when Peri Mutapa addressed the media. A couple of things came out of that press briefing, and one of them is that two of NAPSA Stars players in Frederick Mwimanzi and Leonard Mulenga are not eligible to play against their parent club. They are on loan from Green Buffaloes. So what does that mean? It means that it leaves NAPSA Stars open because their captain Fantastic,
is on a red card.
He's on a red card, he's facing suspension. I think even the left back they brought in halfway through the season, there's some doubt. He has to undergo late fitness test. Same applies to Dixon Chapa. He's a doubt for this encounter. So if these players do not feature for NAPS, I think it's advantage GBFC. GBFC blew away an opportunity to try and close out the gap to 4 points when they hosted Power Dynamos. They were the better side in that game. They had the chances, but they never had someone to put those balls behind the net. Masauso Perry.
What has happened to Andy Boyeli?
Andy Boyeli, he's been put in a very, very small setup for the defenders.
And
Bamonga did the same. So Peri Mutapa, I think from where he's come with this NAPSA side, I think he deserves a lot of credit. Last season, National League, went on, finished second, won the APSA Cup, and this time around in the Super League, if he wins this game, he's getting closer to playing continental football, and the dream will slowly become a reality. He even said the same words in the press briefing, and they are now getting goals from everywhere. It's no longer a Musondaga Pemwa show. They were heavily reliant on Muzo even last season, but now he's getting assistants like Adam Zikiru. He's coming, he's getting them goals. Augustine Mulenga will chip in with a couple of goals. I think NAPSA Stars look very, very bright. They're coming up against Buffalo, who has got probably one of the best players of the season in Gordon Mashata. The boy has been brilliant. He's been carrying the team on his shoulders. John Kosam in central midfield. But this time around, I see this game to end in a draw.
Well, NAPSA Stars is 3 points away from being second on the log, all things being equal. When we take away FC Moose and Forest Rangers from the picture, it's Buffalo sitting on 45 points, NAPSA Stars is sitting on 42, and this is one game that would defy the odds this afternoon at the Hero Stadium. Any comment on the game?
The game for today, Peri Mutapa and Masauso Tembo, it will be a tactical game. As my colleagues has alluded, it will be a very tightly contested game, and I see Masauso Tembo picking it with a 1-0. That's my prediction.
Interesting encounter again at Edwin Imboela Stadium. We are seeing Nkwazi Football Club hosting Forest Rangers. The story behind this fixture is that Forest Rangers is 3 points away from claiming the second slot if anything happens to GBFC. So they are also looking at playing continental football. And remember that they are very close to that slot, and they are now in the APSA Cup finals. And on the other side, Nkwazi Football Club, they are sitting on the red light. They sleep, they go into Division 1.
That makes it difficult for Forest Rangers. Looking at the position where Nkwazi is, it will be difficult for... They will make it difficult for Forest Rangers to play their game, and they will be so compact at the back, and they will play attacking football, a counter-attack game, and try to find one or two weak links. Then they capitalize on that. I see Nkwazi picking up a point from there.
Augustine, Forest Rangers looking forward to probably chasing their dream of a double in a long time.
There's Musa.
If you look at Ian Bakala and Forest Rangers, the football they played in the first half of the season compared to what they've played in the second half of the season, I think they've been very, very poor. If probably we had some statistics about the best team in the second half of the season, it would probably be Nkana topping the league, because Nkana have been very, very good in the second half of the season. We are not seeing...
You are making my weekend.
Even the league leaders, Power Dynamos, have struggled in the second half of the season. There is a lot of inconsistency with regards to the teams that are chasing for the top two. If you look at from number 2 to number 8, any of these teams can qualify for CAF Confederations Cup football. Now it remains to which side will be more consistent towards that achieving that goal in the last 6 games. Forest Rangers, Luambo Moyela was looking hot favorite to win the Golden Boot.
Hey, you're very right actually. Starting from Red Arrows at position 8.
Exactly.
They are 4 points away from the second slot.
So you see, it's very, very tight up there. Luambo Moyela, you would have thought he's going to be the guy that will take Forest Rangers to probably winning the league title for the first time. But they have struggled in the second half. Is it because Ian Bakala he has other focus in terms of him being the under-17 coach, which divides his attention? But you saw them against Power Dynamos. You saw the two sides of Forest Rangers, the bad and the good. They were bad in the first half, and the second half they woke up from their slumbers and took the game to Power Dynamos, and they were very, very good. They're coming up against Oswald Mutapa, another tactician, but he's found it very, very hard at Nkwazi because they are in a very, very bad situation, and they look destined for the drop in Nkwazi because they're not consistent enough with their results. And
Oswald Mutapa can't spare you if you hate that comment from
unfortunately
realities of life.
He's my favorite man, but unfortunately they are going down.
Well,
even Charles won't be happy.
Oh yeah. Our own Charles, our media guy from Nkwazi Football Club, and probably Jeff, who also not spare you meet this afternoon. One of the exciting games that we are going to have in Osaka at Nkoloma Stadium again is two struggling sides. The reverse fixture ended in a stalemate.
The inconsistent sides.
The inconsistent sides. They can't remember the last time they won. You have to flip a lot of pages. It's Red Arrows Football Club versus Prison Leopards this afternoon.
Who will Luchanga play today? He's on loan from...
Luchanga is from Muza.
More from Muza.
Originally from Muza. Yeah.
Okay.
If he doesn't make the team, it's performance related.
Yeah, with Red Arrows, I don't know what has happened. I don't know. I think maybe they didn't do their marketing, their buying from the start of the season. I think.
Can we relate that to the technical director who was let go, and from the time that they let go of the technical director, we have seen the results not going their way.
I think it's administrative issues there. Administrative issues those are the ones that are letting Red Arrows perform the way they are performing like that. We can't put much blame on the coaches. I think it's administrative. You know, football starts from administration. If the administration is bad, then even the results will be seen from the pitch. So I won't say much. I think I'll just say administration. They need just to put their house in order. And that's when they are going to...
Augustine,
I think...
tell us what is happening at Nkoloma Stadium.
What is happening at Nkoloma Stadium, I think it's there for everyone to see. Red Arrows have struggled this season. They haven't been consistent enough. If you look at how they started the season, Red Arrows going into the last game of the first half of the season, they were 4 points behind leaders Power Dynamos. And if they could have won the game against Power Dynamos in Kicho, Red Arrows were going to close that gap to 1 point. They got beat by 4 goals to 0, and the gap got to 7 points. At some point, Red Arrows looked like favorites to win the league in the first half of the season.
Of course.
They were top of the table. So what went wrong? I think it was overall how we did our recruitment side. I think this blame will not just go to the coaches, to the players. Everyone has to take a blame in how it has transpired for Red Arrows. Starting from management, I felt the pre-season wasn't right. The pre-season preparation were not up to speed. Then it came to the recruitment side of things. But the players we recruited were not even good enough to be competing in the league as starters. So I think to me it worries you with how decisions were made to try and bring in these players. Then the coaches, I felt in some games their tactics I think were very wrong. Why is Red Arrows conceding late goals? That's down to the coaches. It's not down to the management. It's down to the coaches. How do you manage games? And he's talked about Conley Luchanga. Luchanga has come from Prison Leopards where he scored 11 goals. Where is he played at Red Arrows? Left wing. He's never been played down the middle. The top scorer of the league for Red Arrows this season is Joseph P with 6 goals. And he's playing 90 minutes even if he's missing chance after chance after chance. So I think now it's down to coaches. And then it's down to the players.
It reminds me of how he managed to play the entire game in the Absa Cup.
Exactly, even against Nkana. So you could see coaches are not seeing that. They didn't make those changes.
They were not
even
the game.
The mighty Nkana
lost to Nkana.
To the mighty Nkana, the record winners. So if you look at the players themselves now, they are not taking responsibility when they step onto that field of play. whatever is happening around the club, when you step onto that field of play, you dial into for the country. We look at players like Benedict Chepeshi. He's always taking responsibility every week. Even if Red Arrows lose 10-0, Chepeshi will be one of the standout performers because he carries he plays with a lot of heart. He's ready for any fight. He fights for the team. If we had 11 Benedict Chepeshis on the field of play,
not 11, probably even 3.
You could have the level of
commitment. The level of commitment of Benedict Chepeshi probably speaks a lot of volumes, and that is why in the back-to-back fixture against Lesotho, he was the only local player who started in the starting 11. It's because of commitment
and consistency
that he shows at the club as well as at the national team.
So I think you could see it has been a mix of everything: management, coaches, and players not doing their roles right. And I hope in the second half, the next season, these things will be rectified. Signings will be made, perfect signings to try and add quality to the team and to try and improve the team.
Well, all the best to Red Arrows Football Club.
And this game which had the famous style in the last season, the famous style of the goalkeeper Choma, which was in the net. Immediately the towel is removed. Alassane Diaz scored the late win.
I remember your groundsman running all over the pitch to go and pick up that towel.
This game has got a lot of drama because in the reverse fixture, there was a double head at Railway Stadium. Red Arrows played Prisons in the first game. Arrows were leading. Then Alan Kapila got injured. He was stretched off. Immediately Alan Kapila was stretched off. Prison scored in the 84th minute. Red Arrows dropping points again in the last minutes of the game. It was the same afternoon when Musa beat Warriors Capitals.
Well, the last game of the weekend on a Saturday is not a very, very exciting game with regards to deciding the championship, but it's an exciting game because it sees Sensational Zanaco Football Club sitting 3 points above the relegation zone, taking a very, very short trip of 320 kilometers into Ndola to face a bustling Zesco United that was or is just from bashing Buttcon Football Club by 6-0. How do you look at the game this afternoon?
This is the game to watch today. Zesco Zanaco, it's a good game. It's just that there are two comparisons that are there. The other one is fighting for relegation. The other one, they're praying for pride because I don't think so. Zesco can catch up and win the league. So it's Zanaco has they want it more. They want it more than Zesco. So with the new coach who has come, Wadawada, I see there will be a bit of those two shake-ups, but still Zesco will pick it up and Zesco will pick maximum point.
Augustine.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, the last time Wanda played Zesco at Levy won by 4-0. It was when Zesco United were being crowned champions. But this time around, the task is different, the narrative is different. He's going to a Sensational Zanaco side which has to fight for their lives to stay in the league. And if Zanaco were to lose this afternoon in Ndola and Kwazi managed to beat Forest, then the picture changes going into next weekend's encounter. If you look at the last 6 fixtures for Sensational Zanaco, probably the only guaranteed 3 points is against Buildicon when they come to Sunset Stadium. And if I'm Zanaco,
I was analyzing what does accepting the job, and when you look at the fixtures he's remaining with, just one guarantee, just
Buildicon. The rest are cracker of matches. And Wada with his famous triple SD, speed, skill, strength and discipline, hopefully it will see Zanaco over the line.
Well, Zesco United, one Chicken George, buzzing with confidence after that 6-0 bashing of Buttcon Football Club, is playing hosts to the Sensational Zanaco Football Club at 15 hours. You can catch that game live on Supersport. And tomorrow, not so exciting game, Kansanshi Dynamos hosting Buttcon Football Club. Buttcon, that is probably the only confirmation that the team will be facing Division 1 opponents next season.
It's exciting in the sense that it's Boyd Mwanda going back to his former team in Buttcon.
But it would have been nice it was a decider to take them into Division 1.
Exactly, but
do you know what will happen? You remember Kitwe United when they were relegated. You know, these players now, they were for Buttcon now. They are just playing to market themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Kansanshi Dynamo should be worried about that. Kansanshi Butekon, there will be players that just be marketing themselves so that they can attract from these other big clubs. So they are playing for pride, and for that I see an upset against Kansanshi Dynamo.
I cannot see an upset in this encounter, Mr. Skombe. You would agree with me. This is one of the worst teams to have ever played the Super League. Worst. They have had one of the worst seasons. I remember we had Blackpool, Fulham Blackpool went without a victory. At least they have done better than Fulham Blackpool. But I haven't seen in my football life a team that has conceded 55 goals in the Zambian Super League.
69 goals.
69 goals.
69 goals.
So they have got negative 55. So I think that speaks volume. That speaks volume. How can you concede 69 goals? By the time this season is ending, they would have conceded 90 goals. Because they conceded 5 in 27.
But trust me, you'll see an upset today.
Maybe these guys, because they've lost the back-to-back games, 5 against NAPSA, 5 against Power Dynamos, 5 against Zesco. Probably it's just best they lose. Walkover is 3-0. It's a decent result.
But you know what? Today, yes, just mark it. It will be an upset for
Well, I've seen the quality of the players. They play decent football, but results don't go.
They don't go well. Yes.
I really don't get what happens to them.
But I foresee an upset. Let's not just underrate Musa. The players are playing for pride. Yeah, they're playing the Butekon players. They're playing for pride. They are trying to market themselves. So I see an upset. Mark my words.
That's Majuda's opinion, and that opinion doesn't hold any water when it comes to Boyd Murwanda and Jesse Were.
As your player scored in Kansanshi, Sate Kampamba.
Is he still playing? That is yet to be known. Tomorrow we have one exciting game again. Champions in the making. Powerful Power Dynamos will be hosting Chambishi Football Club at Arthur Davis Stadium. The fans are back in the stadium.
Yeah, it will be good for Power Dynamos to welcome their fans with a win after that disappointing game against Forest Rangers. I see Power Dynamo picking up maximum 3 points. It's just that it's on a sad note where Boyeli started on fire, but nowadays is nowhere to be seen. We can't even notice it.
Is he likely to face his former team?
Yes, and he's going a hat trick. But the last time Chambishi went to Kitwe, they went and picked maximum points. Remember, they did a double on Ghana. They won at Ghana Stadium. They won at Arthur Davis Stadium. So it's interesting to see how this afternoon game will pan out. Mwenyash People's famous comments, I found Power Dynamos finished.
and it hasn't gone well with Power fans.
It hasn't gone well with Power fans, but is there any truth in what he said? I believe
it's 100% correct.
Because if you look at where this man found Power Dynamos and where they are right now, I think Power Dynamos fans, they just need to take it easy. Mwenyash Pepo is on the wheel. He knows what he's doing. And Budom Tale, he needs to stand up and show in games like this. These are games that will win you the titles. Everyone, all the 17 teams would dream to be where Power Dynamos is, where you are the ones who are being chased, not the ones that are chasing. I felt this last season when Red Arrows were in control. It's much easier when you are being chased than when you're chasing.
Let's look at very quickly, guys, the ABSA Cup semi-finals that took place before we close the show. Very, very exciting results, and Power Dynamos went to sleep in those last few minutes against Forest Rangers. Very quickly, Augustine, we have the finals where Forest Rangers is dreaming to have their first silverware in I don't know how many forests they have visited across the continent of Africa.
Yeah, I think the last time around Forest Rangers won a silverware, I believe, was in 2006 when they beat Red Arrows 1-0 in the Coca-Cola Cup final at the Davis Stadium, and now Musa and Forest are in the final. So that is a guarantee that we'll have a new winner with regards to the ABSA Cup. And Forest Rangers came from behind against Power Dynamos. They showed some character and good spirit in the second half and won the game. Musa were pushed very, very hard by a Trident side who are reduced to 10 men. They looked very, very good, Trident. They played good football, very organized, and I felt it was a lucky strike by Mandra Mulea, which took a wicked deflection, and Musa won it. But Musa have been one of the most exciting teams in the league. They are very, very hardworking. They will run their socks off. They play with a very, very high tempo, and it will be difficult for Forest Rangers in the final at the National Hero Stadium. I think it will be fireworks.
Well, the exciting encounter, it will be Forest Rangers versus Muza, where we'll see the first ever ABSA winners without having any return of the old cards like our caller mentioned earlier. All the big guns are nowhere near the ABSA finals, and it will be very, very exciting to see how these two sides fare up. Gentlemen, whatever goes up must come down. We are getting towards the end of the show. Any last remarks as we summarize our sporting weekend? I'll start with you, Majud.
Yeah, with me, I'll talk about the Chipolo Polo. I think the technical bench for the Chipolo Polo, I think they need to put their heads together. They need to start local camping so that at least they can identify players that can fill in a certain position. At least they need to start, probably next month, they need to start calling local camps so that at least we can identify one or two players, and at least maybe they change on one or two tactics with these friendlies that are coming up so that they can take advantage of that. Because looking at the friendlies that we have played, we haven't had a good tactical play of it. That's what I can say.
Augustine,
I think a big thanks to the entire production team for making this possible, and a big thanks to all your viewers for tuning in. We always appreciate your efforts, and I would like to urge each and every one of you to trek to the nearest stadium and support Bola Yapazet, because local is Laka, and wishing all the best to Patson Daka, who is starting life under new coach Dean Smith.
Well, exciting football weekend it is, and we will see our own very own Camnet Stars this afternoon at Kablonga Boys Secondary School. They will be having a game at 15 hours. All of you around this area, please find your way to Kablonga Boys Secondary School and just go and watch our very own Camnet Stars as they chase their dream of coming back, of getting into the Division 2 game that will be the season that will be coming up in next season. This has been your host, Rabson Skombe, and from me and the entire production team, it's have a nice weekend. We'll see you next Saturday when we come back to give you nothing but the best of local football. It's bye-bye for now.